on it, so he's damaged already. He's not going to be in the fight for too much longer. So this is a good situation to use your energy to pull up.
So this is maybe a bit of a difficult position. I may have waited, you know, come around a little bit more.
After he's reclimbing to gain energy, I think this is a mistake.
Hey everyone, DCS Sport here. I've been gaming with flight sims for quite a while now. Starting off with A-10 Cuba, FA-18 Hornet Korea, World War II Online, and now mostly flying DCS and IL-2. You might have seen me on YouTube with some of my tutorials and other videos at DCS Sport, and I also fly on Twitch as the Grumpy Gamer.
So I'm ShamrockOneFive. I write the Stormbird's Flight Sim News website, and I've been a mixed single-player and multiplayer combat flight sim pilot for about 20 years now, with a lot of experience in the original IL-2 and with the most recent Great Battle series.
Hello, this is Central. I am a private pilot that got into multiplayer combat flight sims back in 2015 while I was temporarily without an airplane, figuring it would be a good way to keep my skills up. First combat sim I flew was Rise of Flight. I began making gameplay tutorial videos in that sim not long after getting into it, and eventually I transitioned to flying various titles under the Great Battle series, and I continue to make gameplay content under those titles to this day. All of my videos are currently featured on my iFlyCentral YouTube channel, mostly World War I and World War II flight sim content, with a real-life flying video mixed in every now and then. Today I'm going to be analyzing a gameplay clip from the Great Battle series given to me by Enigma. A little context for the clip before we get into it. The pilot is flying a 109 F4 here, and he's defending friendly ground objectives. So, let's get started. So as we can see, the 109 pilot's at relatively low altitude, 1200 meters as indicated by the altimeter, and that makes sense because he's trying to defend friendly ground targets. You can see some red tracer there, which indicates it's being shot by an allied aircraft, and so there is a friendly under attack. The 109 pilot will not get there soon enough to save the friendly, but he will try to avenge him. Now, he does have to deal with ground rush here and shooting down into an aircraft that's really low, so he did get some hits in, but that is difficult to do. Hard over the top, 6G pull.
So you do that if you feel confident, but may be better off to go high and reposition for another attack.
Create a little bit of separation and get my energy state back up, but it looks like we're going to commit to this fight. So really good move here, dropping flaps, pulling the power back.
Alright, so we can see here that he's gone into plane with the LA-5. It's not bad. In fact, he has gotten some hits here in this turn, so I can't fault him too much. He is at least looking high in the gun sight, which is something I always recommend. You want to look as high as you can into the gun sight so that you can see over the nose better. However, there was another option here. Whenever the LA-5 started to turn, if the 109 pilot had gone just a little bit vertical and turned inside of the LA-5, he then could have leveled his wings, and he would have been much better able to judge where the LA-5 was going to cross his nose. If he had done that, he might have been able to get some cockpit shots in.
Yes, just a little bit of commentary on that. That's a bunch of very aggressive maneuvers. So the first one is that head-on, and you know the friendly aircraft is already down, so making that maneuver is a risky one. And then the very high G turn right after, that's also a risky move because you're bleeding a lot of energy and you're already in a combat zone.
The 109 pilot does check his 6, however, as soon as I saw that spiral into the ground, I would have immediately turned my head around to check 6. Something that's easily forgotten.
This pilot, you know, head is kind of on a swivel. Could be looking around a little bit more, especially 6 o'clock, because you are in that target zone.
One off there to our 1 o'clock pixel over there. It's really interesting. As you can see, the pilot here is scanning left and right, looking for pixels like this one just above us. Always keeping a good picture of where people are around you.
Now, if you didn't catch that, he just fired a red flare, so it's very likely that this 109 pilot does have some help in the area, and he's trying to get some attention. So there we go. You can see now that he has pushed up into emergency power. He's stayed in combat this entire time. Now, these airplanes run on engine timers, and I think you've got about 30 minutes on combat. I'm not quite sure about that, but I know that he will eventually go into emergency power here, and you only have a few minutes at emergency. I think that's going to play a big role in what happens here.
They can't see you. You're low on their 6. There's no visibility back there in the Spitfire. But this is a perfect ambush situation right here. Fired a little bit far out, but scored some really good hits.
It hits on the Spitfire, but the Spitfire has already started maneuvering, and I think the reason for that is he shot kinda early. I would have waited and gotten a whole lot closer to the Spitfire before shooting. Probably would have gone a little bit lower 6, kept my speed, and then pulled up into it. Whenever you shoot long distance like this, what you're doing is you're reducing your chances of making an accurate shot, and you're increasing the chances that you're going to alert the opponent you're shooting at. Those rounds that went under the Spitfire's nose and climbed up in front of it, it would have seen that, it would have known it was getting shot at, and that's why it maneuvered just as it was starting to actually get hit.
The pilot made a really tight turn to follow that Spitfire. Spitfires can pull extraordinarily tight turns and bleed a lot of energy doing that.
On it, so he's damaged already. He's not going to be in the fight for too much longer. So this is a good situation to use your energy to pull up, energy trap him, because he's going to want to try to reverse you here, get on your 6. You're just going to keep moving this slow climbing roll.
What you see here is a wonderful execution of an energy trap. 109 climbs very well when compared to the Mark V.
So look at that. Enemy Spitfire has no energy. Perfect shots right into the cockpit. Dead. See you later. Don't even need to look back and confirm the kill.
If that was a later model Spitfire like a Mark IX, I would not recommend that, but seeing as how this is fairly early war, the 109 F4 does have superior performance to the Spitfire Mark V. So the action never stops. He's closing in here again on what looks to be a cute little I16.
We've locked on. And again, they're not checking their 6. You can see they're just diving down, trying to get energy back, but not even checking. 1, 2, 3, 4 cannon hits to the tail. Tail's gone. See you later. Okay. So that's 3 kills. Not bad.
16 pilot was not aware at all, so you know, you could have closed up a little bit, but that was actually pretty good shooting.
At this point, he's really not checking the 6 very well. He has sort of looked back a few times, but I would do a more thorough check of 6, especially after all that action. It's very likely you would have drawn attention from any enemy aircraft in the area. So I think checking 6 is something that this 109 pilot should definitely work on.
You know, an overhead roll in kind of gets you a little bit of a lag position on it, except for this guy is defensive, so this is working out. This is good, you know, good deflection shooting.
Good shots, good kill. Wow.
Can't really fault that engagement there. That was pretty good.
Pulling the nose through where he thinks the enemy's going to be, and great shots right into the cockpit, so makes that one easy. Alright, so obviously there's another enemy here, and what the pilot's done is really good, you know, getting as much energy as possible but lowering the nose, and it looks like he's shooting off flares to help have his team locate him.
So there is one more thing I wanted to point out here in regards to the aircraft itself. He is flying a 109 F4, and he has opted to take the field modification for removal of the curved armored plate that goes above the headrest. This is a modification that back when I used to fly the 109s a little bit more, I would definitely have taken myself, because it allows for better checking of your 6, your high 6 over your tail. So it's a good modification to take, but again, he hasn't been utilizing it as much as I think he should have been. I would definitely have been checking 6 more, but this is a modification that you can take. If you take an Air 4 without that modification, your rear visibility over your head is very limited.
It's running again. This is in an emergency mode. You have very limited time on that. You know, I think using it a few seconds ago was good, but now you're starting to run out of that timer, and there we go. We see some engine damage. You're better off to get that initial spurt of speed from the emergency mode and then back off into combat.
Engaged him there, but really good to extend like that. Get away from the fight. Don't try to push a bad situation. A lot of people go immediately defensive, start turning really hard, and get themselves into big trouble.
So you can use it, get out of trouble, and then go back to running in continuous mode, and that'll preserve your engine. I never trust tech tips. I don't use them. I always use the instruments in the aircraft's panel because they are more accurate. They're going to give you better information.
It's in a bit of a difficult position because you're being pursued with some engine damage, so you're not going to get quite the full power.
After him, he's reclimbing to gain energy. I think this is a mistake. I think with the engine damage that he has and as much combat as he has seen thus far, he really should have RTB'd.
I probably, I may have decided to go for RTB at this point, especially with engine damage, but, this 109 pilot's being aggressive, so...
But if you're going to have the tech tips, you should at least pay attention to them. The one thing it is telling him here that is good is that his engine's damaged. He needs to RTB. But right now, he's running a damaged engine.
So this is maybe a bit of a difficult position. I may have waited, come around a little bit more.
And maybe not the best angle to take a shot from.
You should extend. You should not be climbing. You should be trying to leave the situation and get back to base because of his engine damage.
This is a really highly contested AO, so it's tough. Yep, there's another one dropping in on her 6. Just really tough to dive in like that because it makes you, on the pull-up, it makes you an easy target. So good lag roll. Looks like we're going to try to force a reverse here.
So, sees that enemy aircraft back there, knows probably from the few seconds that he's seen it that that aircraft has more energy, more speed, so is able to overtake, especially in a shallow climb, especially with engine damage. So this is a bad situation, obviously. Pilot did make the right move in recognizing that it's a bit dire and, nose down, try and gain some speed, try and gain some separation.
And he's in combat, he's going to push it up into emergency, and because of the damage he already has, the engine is going to die.
We're going to keep jinking, trying to throw their aim off enough so that they're wasting ammo, but also you're extending to maybe get some help from a friendly.
It might be an LA5, has greater speed, good ability to roll with the 109 and outroll it at this kind of speed range.
I would have, in this situation, tried to really tighten up a turn. If you're going to do a rolling scissors, you need to tighten it up to the point that the enemy aircraft's going to overshoot, and just turning back and forth in front of it like this is not going to get the job done.
Engine dies, and that's kind of where everything goes wrong. So I think even without the engine failure, it would have ended probably in the same way.
We're slow. Yeah, see, tried to force that overshoot, got really slow, and when he pulled, just presented a really big target for the enemy to take a shot at. Overall, those engagements were awesome. Showed a variety of different things. Everything from ambush from a low 6 o'clock position, both resulting in a kill, but also resulting with the Spitfire, resulted in the Spitfire having to break off and maneuver to make the kill easier. And also some good dogfighting, showing an energy trap, a lot of different things there. So overall, really good fights. Unfortunate that RTB didn't happen, but, crash landed in a field, survived.
And there we go. Shots into the aircraft, engine finally quits entirely, and he crash lands. In summary, the 109 pilot here, his essay wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either. He did check 6 sometimes, but a lot of his 6 checks were too quick. You can't just look back briefly and call that a 6 check. You need to spend at least 2 seconds looking at an area to make sure that there's not an enemy aircraft there. So I would definitely recommend that the 109 pilot work on checking 6, being more thorough about it. The other thing is, don't be greedy. That's the other takeaway from this. If you've got, 2, 3, 4 kills, and you've got engine damage, or even if you don't, might be a good time to extend, get back into friendly territory, reclimb, reevaluate, and you may decide, you know what, my engine actually is damaged. I need to RTB.
So, I think the big mistake was not going home with the engine damage. So disengaging from the fight because there was the opportunity to, and recommitting at a difficult angle. That was a bit of a mistake as well. So And obviously, enemy aircraft with more speed, more energy, was able to capitalize on that mistake and pursue. So, overall, an aggressive fight. There are other ways to fly the 109 a little bit more conservatively that, may be a bit less fun, but it may lead to better success. So, there's my thoughts.
I think this was an interesting fight, and interesting for different reasons. From the previous Ace Files review that we had, which is linked above, that one really focused on different decisions and how to fight a fight, and we went into detail about the geometry of the engagements. This video was really focusing on plane, situation, and information management, which is interesting and important in their own right. Sport is mostly a DCS pilot, so he really focused his analysis around energy management, how a different maneuver or approach to an engagement can maintain energy, which allows for future options. This is super important and applies to both DCS and IL-2. If you burn your energy, then you are burning options before you may even have a chance to use them. Central and Shamrock are primarily IL-2 pilots, and both of them really talked a lot about engine management and how the 109 was eating too much into combat and emergency power time during the flight. This is super important. You can't really fight if your engines are out, so you need to manage your systems effectively. Shamrock in particular focused in on risk management. Is being so aggressive really necessary, or is it better to mitigate by flying more conservatively? This is similar to energy management, but in a different form. Is it better to take yourself out of a fight when you still have the option to do so? Meanwhile, Central really went into depth about information management, gaining an understanding of the situational awareness, how different modifications on the 109 can allow for easier SA building. He also touched on alternative steps that could have been taken during the fight. All of this is useful, and I hope that new players find this useful. For my take on it, I can now share that I was the 109 pilot. On this flight, I was feeling particularly aggressive, and I wanted to push the limits, which is something that I'm a big believer in. Experimentation. You don't know what you can get away with until you push the boundaries, so I wanted to fly low and aggressive to basically practice. I agree with the comments from our guests, and I want to focus right now on engine management. I made a terrible mistake not focusing that closely on it, and it basically cost me here. Just as Central suggested to pull a tighter turn to force a reversal, I just had started to do that, and my engine died mid-maneuver, which was the worst time for that to happen. This video really comes on the heels of everyone's positive comments on the first iteration of this video series. I want to invite the community to send me videos on my Discord server to be commented on for either IL-2 or DCS. If you are interested in commenting, please let me know. And I want to thank our guests for their time and insight. Please do give them a follow or subscription on Twitch or YouTube. Their profiles are linked below. Lastly, I do want to make a message to manage expectations. I'm super happy that these people find these videos interesting, because I think the format has a lot of potential, and this is only the second video. With that said, each video takes around 8 to 10 hours to edit, which doesn't even include the time to source comments or videos and even review footage, which I end up throwing out. I'll keep these videos going. I think the series has potential, and I'll sprinkle them in when I can. If you would like to see more and or support the channel, then please subscribe. Thank you so much.
Bye.